Rules in action. Rules that keep things going smoothly and fairly. Rules that help us get where we're going. Help us work together, play together, and live together. Of course, in small groups, we sometimes get along without rules.
But there aren't any loud noises, just the sounds of working. We call these work sounds. Listen.
When many of us play together, rules make the game. Rules help us play fair with each other, so all can enjoy the game. Rules that apply equally to all. It's up to each one of us to know the rules and follow them.
Why do you suppose this room is so quiet? Perhaps we can learn from the teacher.
At New York's Madison Square Garden, a city college quintet faces five fast and fancy wet boots from the University of Oregon. It's the opening contest of an intersectional doubleheader, and New York draws 2 points worth of fresh blood.
And you know, we have found that knowing when to be quiet is a part of growing up.
16,000 fans watch the boys from the Pacific Coast as they try to stem the onslaught of City College fever. But it's all over when Silverstein shoots off the hardwood, decades the ball, and the ball game for CCNY 38-36.
Because a quiet room helps all of us learn.
How do you do it?
Well, each of us knows how to work quietly. That's very important.
But the evening sport is a long way from the locker room. In the second game, a team of Northwestern Wildcats is matched against St. John's University of Brooklyn. The lads from Illinois are off to a springboard start when Bob Coble eases the Helen into the basket to take the lead.
Do you think you could walk this quietly? Listen to this work sound.
But tribal warfare comes to the gymnasium as the St. John's Indians retaliate with 2 points. From now on, the game is touch and go, with 10 men helping to get it there. A beautiful display of teamwork, and Northwestern gets in the number column with sharp shooting Bob Coble doing the honors.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Learn the Game, where you learn if you got an F for effort. And today, we're going to be discussing Wilt Chamberlain's 50-point per game season. First, before we get into that, how are you today, Rex?
Pretty good. A little wet. It's pouring outside. Horrible day.
Well, you know, it wasn't horrible. This 50-point per game season by Wilt Chamberlain. It's often regarded as one of the greatest seasons of all time. What's the truth behind the 50 points per game? Is it something that was unique? Was it a product of the time? Why did Wilt Chamberlain get 50 points per game? And what really is the skerpuffle? I messed that word up, but you know what I'm trying to get at, of the season.
Well, the reason I started delving into this, well, I delved into it 50 years ago, but the reason why this is a show that I'm always interested in, a topic I'm always interested in, is when you hear fans argue GOAT debates and stuff like that, and they'll bring up Wilt and all of his records and his athletic ability, all of his achievements, and they are absolutely fantastic, unbelievable, unreal, truly unique. But the one thing I always mention, that always gets me is you hear people, especially today, oh, well, in this era, if Jordan played today, he'd average 50. If Bird played today, he'd average 50 and all this. And no one's ever averaging 50. Okay, no one's ever averaging 40 because the league won't permit it. The only reason it's ever happened, and it only happened with one guy, and the only reason it was allowed was because back then it was a situation of trying to get publicity. Now that's not the NBA's problem. So it's never going to happen again. And people act like it was organic. And it wasn't. It was a preconceived idea by the owner, Eddie Gottlieb, who was also the GM, and the head coach, Frank McGuire, to boost ratings, to boost ticket sales, and to boost publicity. They were going to have Wilt average 50. Didn't matter the record of the team. It didn't matter, what the particular score was in any game. Wilt was going to play every minute, and he was going to average 50. That's what they wanted for publicity reasons, because Eddie Gottlieb, the owner, wanted to get out. He wanted to sell the team, but the team was losing money. Something teams don't have to worry about now. So this was his idea to gain publicity and gain ticket sales so he could get a buyer, because no one's going to buy a losing team. So that was the idea, and Wilt was aware. First day of training camp, McGuire comes in, first time he sees Wilt, really since the NCAA championship game when McGuire, as coach of North Carolina, beat Kansas and Wilt in triple overtime. And then he's now his new coach in the NBA, 61-62 season. And he comes in and he tells him, big guy, you're averaging 50 points a game this year. And it was in McGuire's book. I have some excerpts here from McGuire's book and Wilt's book and other outside sources mentioning it. So when you hear someone bring it up that, well, Wilt averaged 50, Wilt scored 100. Well, yes, he did. And he did it, and no one else could have. But the reason he was able to do it was because it was a preconceived idea, and the coach went along with it. The only person on the team that they bothered telling before they actually started doing it was first-round draft pick Tom Meshery, who, if you follow my channel, is the first foreign-born all-star in the NBA. He was born in China. He's an American.
That's who it is.
But he was born in China, Tom Meshery. He was a first-round draft pick, so they felt they had to let him know what he was walking into and that he was not going to be utilized on the offensive end. His job was going to be just grab offensive rebounds and give it to Wilt. The rest of the team really wasn't consorted. It was, which I think that's kind of an insult to Paul Arizin. But when they did sell the team and the team moved to San Francisco, Arizin refused to go with the team, refused to move his family. He had, I believe, 2 daughters that were in school. So he just retired from the NBA as an all-star rather than go with the team all the way across the country and move his family. He took a job with IBM, which ended up being a pretty smart move. And but Wilt also had a deal in place with the new owners. Ironically, his name was Richmond. And he had to deal with Ike Richmond that, look, here's what we're going to do. Wilt, we're doing this so we can sell the team. And then once a new owner was found, the new owner said, look, Wilt, we're moving the team, or they're moving the team. This wasn't their, this was the Philadelphia 76ers owner. I'm sorry. When they moved the team out to San Francisco, Syracuse comes to Philly, changes their name to the 76ers. And their owner says, look, Wilt, if you go ahead and you do this deal and everything, all this happens, this whole business plan happens, they're going to trade you back here to us, and we'll give you a 25% stake in the team when you retire. So Wilt did it. He went out to San Francisco for like a year and a half, played out there, and then as soon as it was all lined up and made possible, he was traded back to the 76ers, won a championship there. But then that owner died, and the new owner refused to honor that agreement, that's when Wilt forced his way out of Philly to go to the Lakers. So this 100-point season really started a whole domino effect that ended up changing the course of basketball history and players' resumes and legacies as we know them.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm sorry?
No, because of this business idea of Eddie Gottlieb in '61, the domino effect really had set forth so many and changed so many legacies.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't hear about the stake in the team of the 76ers, or I think we talked about Paul Harrison, that's why he retired in the past. But yeah, no, all of that's really interesting. To why on a sidebar outside of all the behind the scenes kind of stuff of how or why it happened. Let's talk about how it happened. So during the times, the rules were different. There were rules where you're able to pass the ball over the backboard as an inbound pass. You were able to go and there's no offensive basket interference, and the lane was 12 feet versus 16 feet. How much do you think that influenced the 50 points per game outside of the all the behind the scenes stuff that was just discussed, where Gottlieb wanted Wilt to get the 50 points per game or score a lot more to be able to sell the team?
Yeah, well, he was going to get 50. Like I said, it's preconceived. The idea of the 50-point number came up before they ever started training camp. So he was going to average that no matter what the rules were. But him doing so, the fallout of how he did it caused so many rules changes that have now shaped the modern game with, like you mentioned, the offensive goaltending rule was changed. Can you imagine in the modern NBA with all these guys? I mean, even the smallest point guards in the NBA can get a foot over the rim now, and they're allowed to without getting flattened. Can you imagine if that rule was in place now?
I think they'd all get flattened.
It changed the game, because if somebody's going up and you know he can just grab it and dunk it in anytime he wants, you're going to lay the guy out. Yeah.
I would think there'd be a lot more injuries. I would, if again, assumptions, it's all what if here, but I would think that there'd be some semblance of fouls and technical fouls and flagrant fouls that would exist the way that they're being called right now, at least similarly. So I still think there'd be a lot of injuries.
Would have came in a lot sooner.
Yeah. So I don't think it would have been good in respect to, or if it were occurring. I think all those would happen, but I still think there'd be a ton more injuries because
in the wide lane. I mean, if they had never widened the lane, this is the direct reason why they widened it. If they had never widened the lane, can you imagine Kareem with his sky hook with a smaller lane, or Yao Ming or Shaq with a 12-foot lane?
It'd be ridiculous.
It would. I mean, Shaq would have been the only one. If they would have kept those rules in place, Shaq probably would have been the only one capable of scoring 50. Possibly young Kareem. I don't know if Kareem would go along with that game plan though.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that Kareem was a physical player in his own right, but he wasn't particularly large. So if all those rules stayed in place, do you think he would have just kept taking the beatings inside?
Well, I mean, that's why you have guys on your team to prevent you from getting beaten. I mean, that's why young Jordan had Charles Oakley. That's why Charles Oakley then went to New York, because Ewing was getting beaten, to death his first few years. That's why Maurice Lucas was in Portland, to protect Walton. And Lucas ended up with the Lakers protecting Kareem. I mean, that's why those guys exist. You just have to have those guys.
Yeah, I mean, you think that
remember now when Kareem left Milwaukee, he had the highest scoring average in the history of the game. His points per game average was higher than Jordan or Wilt's.
Yeah.
He was that guy. It wasn't until he got to a team where the management were former Hall of Fame players with Bill Sharman and Jerry West that they convinced him, look, longevity is the thing. We don't want you to be dominant for 5 more years. We want you to be consistent for 15. And the style of play changed and the usage of Kareem changed.
No, absolutely. I was just thinking more so about the offensive goal, the offensive goaltending more so, is that if he were to get up there, if it would have lasted. And I know you made your point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. When I would tell people, well, Wilt's the only guy capable of scoring 50 in a game, averaging 50 a game. And they're like, oh, well, Jordan fans say Jordan could do it. Kobe fans say Kobe could have done it. You got guys that say this guy. It's like, no, they couldn't, because you're talking about 266, basically about 200-pound guards. They're not averaging 50 a night. It's physically impossible. It's just not possible for a human being with the size of the competition you're going against to do that. Even if you're allowed, even if they told Jordan, you can shoot every shot, we want you to average 50 a game. He couldn't do it. He broke his foot in his second year. He ended up missing a lot of his second to last year with the Wizards because of a knee injury, and ended up hanging it up because he was too battered. He retired twice, stating one of the reasons as the physical toll on the body. He's not a big guy. Wilt was the strongest dude in the league. He didn't get cheap shotted a lot because most players were afraid of him because of his size and his ability. That he literally could just hammer you into the ground if he lost his temper. So he had that intimidation and that size, that durability to be able to put up with that.
Well, I've even seen the one YouTube clip with Kareem, which, I mean, the situation isn't funny, but how the story is told I found humorous, is that Wilt and Kareem walk into an elevator, and some guy asks Wilt Chamberlain, he says, how's the weather up there? And Wilt Chamberlain spits on his face and says, it's raining.
Yeah.
So I would imagine some of that personality exuded on the basketball court too, of don't mess with Wilt or he might do something about it.
Yeah, well, that was the thing with Wilt, is the vast majority of players did not test Wilt because it was a small community back then. Okay, there's 500 guys in the NBA now. You don't know everybody. Back then there were 100. Less teams, less roster spots per team. No free agency. You didn't have, guys coming in. You had to be, you had to go to college for 4 years before you could get drafted. So you had men coming in, and you had a small fraternity. You didn't have guaranteed contracts. So you also had the mentality, why would I hurt him? The reason I'm making what I'm making is because people watch this game. No one's watching me. They're watching this game. They're paying the tickets to see him. If I hurt him on purpose, I may get thrown out of the league. I may get cut because I'm costing the league revenue. So you had that as well. The fans don't understand the times. They got paid well, not ridiculous lottery ticket well. They got paid well. The NBA players got paid better than doctors, better than lawyers. They got paid very well, but the contracts weren't guaranteed. So if you intentionally go out to hurt someone like a Wilt Chamberlain and you cause the teams, money and lost ticket sales, lost revenue for entire organizations, you're going to get cut.
No, for sure.
And everyone thought Wilt was a nice guy, which he was. He was an amazingly nice guy. He was a Renaissance man. He was great at everything he did.
Yeah.
So everyone loved him. Everyone liked him. There were 3 or 4 people that actually got in fistfights with Wilt during his career. Sam Jones, Leskatov, guys like that got in actual fistfights with Wilt. There are very few.
Yeah. I guess with that, I mean, I would think with that story where you're just spitting on some guy's head, I would imagine he had a mean streak to him. But yeah, I mean, that's how I think Early said I've seen a lot of, in discussions with you, is that people would say that Wilt was maybe a little too nice sometimes, even when he was playing basketball. They didn't want to hurt people. He could have hurt people. He held back what he would have been like. But yeah, no, it's just it's kind of a sidebar question, but it's been on some guy's head. And
1959, when he came into the league, if he hadn't have been a nice, cordial, outgoing, amorous guy, he might not have been allowed to play in the league.
Oh yeah, well that's what I'm saying. Is I think that's what I'm trying to get at. Is I think a lot of that might have been his public personality.
Yeah, well, no, that was him. I mean, interviews with one of his sisters.
Mm-hmm.
That was the one thing that the family always worried about. They never worried about whether he would make it talent-wise. They knew he was the greatest that anyone had ever seen, talent-wise. They were worried that the business people would take advantage of Wilt because Wilt was such a nice guy that he would let them get away with stuff and he'd end up losing money because of it. And that's what happened. His sister ended up being correct.
Yeah. No,
but that was the family's only worry.
Aircraft carrier says nobody roots for Goliath. Wilt
I was
Chamberlain.
getting worried you weren't here. Our fan.
Yeah, it's definitely. I do like this reset in a lot of ways because there was a lot of BS that came with the other channel that it grew into. It's definitely different though, not having as many people hanging out here.
Well, being able to just talk about the greatest sport ever invented. Thank you, Dr. Naismith. Solely not as fans, but as objective historians and viewers that those involved with this are. And we don't get into that, like somebody in a thing earlier I was getting into with, was rating LeBron a 7 out of 10 as a basketball player. Come on. Okay. All right. That's just blind fandom hate. There's absolutely no one that understands the game of basketball that believes that LeBron is a 7 on a scale from 1 to 10 in the sport of basketball, at being able to play basketball. Anyone that can even sniff the NBA is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might be a 7 on the best day I ever play.
Yeah. I wouldn't even put myself as a 7.
Yeah.
Well, no, maybe a 7.
Yeah. But
that's
yeah.
the one thing about Wilt's 50-point season. He set 2 huge marks that year that are looked at with awe. But they're looked at with awe for the wrong reasons. Number one, 50 points per game. Number two, averaging more minutes per game than there are minutes in a game. Averaging 48 and a half minutes a game in a 48-minute game. Which, by the way, is the one record that will not ever be broken. Ever. Is that one record. Ever.
Yeah.
That is the most unbreakable record in all of sports. But what came out of this agreement was to average 50 points a game is, okay, well, we know going in what you're going to average. As long as you don't get hurt, you're going to average 50 points a game. You're going to be the first person to ever do it. Now, remember, up to this point, nobody had ever averaged over 39, which was Wilt. Elgin Baylor averaged 38 that year.
Yeah.
Wilt goes over the 40s straight to 50. Would drop back to 44 the next year before all the rules started tumbling in. But what came out of this was the most unbreakable record. He stayed on the court every minute of every game except for one that he got thrown out of for fighting. He played every minute of every game to get to stat pad, like literally stat pad. That's why he stayed on the court the whole time. He also set the record of never fouling out of a game because he had to stay on the court to get to 50 points per game. So he would at times just stop playing defense. If he ever got in foul trouble, he didn't come out of the game because he was trying to get 50 points a game. That was the preset. Winning the game was not the number one priority. It was getting his points because that's what the guy paying him wanted. In fact, I got a quote here. This is the owner of the team. This is Eddie Gottlieb. Let me get through here. Now, again, Eddie Gottlieb was the owner and the general manager. So Eddie Gottlieb paid Wilt to go to the hoop and put butts in the seats. Eddie used to say, we win with Wilt, I win. We lose with Wilt, I win. That was the mentality of the owner. Okay?
Yeah.
And now, the interesting thing I found out about this, which I did not know this. I did not know, but when Wilt scored his 100 points.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to ask about. Yeah.
March 2nd, 1962, against the New York Knicks. 28 of his points came off free throws. He went 28 for 32 that game.
I knew that, Rex.
He shot his free throws underhanded.
Oh, okay, that's what you didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I knew that he experimented with it, but I didn't know in the 100-point game specifically that he shot the underhanded free throws that game.
Yeah, that's interesting. He said one of his biggest criticisms is how he wasn't a great free throw shooter, or more so that he was a terrible free throw shooter. With that,
very interesting.
No, I think so too.
And he didn't even want to score the 100. He had already scored 73 or 79. I think 79 he had already scored earlier in the season to take the high game scoring record from Elgin Baylor, who had 71. That was Elgin Baylor, by the way, at one time held the record for highest game during the regular season with 71 before Wilt broke it, and had the high game in the playoffs of 61 before Jordan broke it. Little tidbit about Elgin there.
So it's been 60 years. When do you think the 100-point game record is going to be broken?
It won't.
Okay, so this is another unbreakable one.
It's not unbreakable, but it won't.
Yeah.
Just because it can be broken in the modern three-point era. It can be broken, but it won't be out of respect.
Yeah.
Players won't do it. For one thing, you can't win. Even, like, say Steph went nuts and scored 100 points or 101 in an NBA game. Sure, you have all the guys that would give him full credit for it because it obviously would be one of the most amazing shooting exhibition of all time. But it's always but you were getting 3 for every basket. Wilt was getting 2.
Yeah.
And Wilt was having to earn them. Because here's the thing that people don't realize. When you say Wilt went 28 for 32 on the free throw line, this is why Jordan and these other guys, Kobe, smaller guys, could never average 50 points a game. Because to get to that, it's not all jump shots. No one's going to average it on jump shots because no one's going to shoot that percentage every game. A different ball in a different arena every 3 days for 8 months. You're not doing it. As someone who played basketball, you're not doing it. You're not going to have that shooting touch every game in every arena through fall, winter, and spring, traveling all over the United States and Canada in a different gym every night, different warm-up schedule, different. It's just not going to happen. But the thing that no one, when it comes to Wilt's 100-point game, that people do not give proper credit to. The dude was fouled so many times that he took 32 free throws.
Yeah.
But yet he still is scoring.
Yeah.
Never came out of the game. Wanted to come out of the game. He wanted to come out of the game. And the coach realized that he 96 at the time. And was like, no, Wilt, you can't come out. You're almost to 100 points. You gotta score 2 more buckets. You know?
Yeah.
But imagine getting fouled that many times by a team you're embarrassing. Other professionals that this is going to lose, letting you score 100 points is going on their resume.
Yeah.
You know, they got to look. They got a contract, and then they got to try and get the next contract. And when you go in to sit down for that contract, the first thing the team owner is going to say is, "Aren't you the guy that gave up 100 to Wilt? How much should I be paying you?" Remember, these are not guaranteed contracts, guys. It is an entirely different world, an entirely different time. So these guys are hammering Wilt in the second half. They're like trying to hurt him so he doesn't get the record. So much so that he makes 28 free throws. Over 25% of the record was made at the free throw line.
Yeah.
That doesn't get enough credit. He was getting freaking flogged that game.
No, for sure. Hey Rex, I gotta get going, but what's up? Are you available tomorrow? And what topic would you like to do next time we talk?
Aircraft carrier. What should we do tomorrow?
He may have left.
Oh, not.
Well, let's see if he gives a response.
We lost our fan. Oh no. Oh no. Your show. Whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I know you had the list. I don't have it accessible right now, but we can just.
Oh, you mean specifically off the list? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking. My fault. Let me get to the list. Okay, on the list, we did LeBron pass first player already.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get that off of there. We just finished Wilt's 50-point season. I've got MJ's 48-inch vertical, Wilt's 50-inch vertical, Russell's so-called lack of offense, Wilt's 1970 finals collapse. Now, another channel just did a show on that.
Mm-hmm.
Mike and supposedly only playing white players, so he really wasn't that good. earlier eras couldn't shoot threes. That malarkey. The game has evolved, and the belief that the NBA isn't rigged.
Uh-huh. Let's do Wilt's 50-inch vertical, because I think that'll lead off into other facts or myths about Wilt Chamberlain as well.
Or we could, if we don't get enough conversation off of that, we could do the 2 vertical leap shows together.
Yeah, we could do that too. Because I think with the Wilt Chamberlain, it can segue into his 500-pound bench press, his 20,000, all these other ridiculous things that are associated with the numbers.
The 500 is not ridiculous.
No, 500 is very realistic.
He did bench press 500 pounds, but not when he was playing in the NBA. It was 10 years after he retired and he got into weightlifting. He did not bench press when he was in the NBA. He started doing that after retirement. People act like he's going up and down the court. Like I've heard people say, well, talking about his 50 points per game and 100 points per game. Well, yeah, the dude could bench press 500 pounds. Well, he couldn't when he scored the 100 in the game. He couldn't do that.
Yeah.
That was literally 2 decades later he could do that. When he was retired, had nothing to do with his time, and decided to go full force into weightlifting down there with Arnold Schwarzenegger and all them at Gold's Gym in Venice Beach. World's Gym. I'm sorry, World's Gym. That's where all that came from. That's when he got the crazy strength. That was not in his playing days. He could not do that.
But yeah, let's save that for tomorrow. I got to get my kids ready for school. But it's a great time as usual. And for everyone that's watched this, please subscribe to the channel, like the video if you watch this back, if you watched through the whole thing specifically and you enjoyed this content, or otherwise, if you skip to the very end, please do so as well. And Rex, I will see you tomorrow. Have a fantastic day, everyone.
See you later.